The Olympic Games have always represented the pinnacle of global sportsmanship, bringing nations together in celebration of athletic excellence. But while the spectacle and grandeur of the Olympics captivate the world every few years, the impact on host cities is often far from glamorous. Did you know that the average cost to host the Olympics is around $12 billion just for sports-related expenses? Some cities have spent as much to make the Games more sustainable. The damage has already been done for numerous cities that hosted in the past. Today, we'll dive into the stories of these cities that were left struggling after hosting the Olympics. From debts that took decades to pay off to abandoned stadiums and economic downturns, these examples serve as cautionary tales for future hosts. Before we get into it, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates from our channel. Now, let's dive into our countdown, starting with number 9. 9. Lake Placid, New York. Lake Placid, known for hosting the 1980 Winter Olympics, transformed itself into a world-class winter sports destination. With stunning views of the Adirondack Mountains as a backdrop, the small town became an international hub, building iconic ski jumps, a state-of-the-art Olympic fieldhouse, and a speed skating rink to impress the world. The event itself was a spectacular success, forever remembered for the miracle on ice when the U.S. hockey team defeated the heavily favored Soviet Union. Yet beneath the triumphs and cheers lay a much bleaker reality. The economic impact of the Games on Lake Placid was devastating. According to reports, the town accumulated $6 million in debt, a significant burden for a small community. The state of New York had to step in and bail out Lake Placid, taking over ownership of the costly Olympic facilities. While these venues continue to attract visitors and host events today, they have been more of a financial drain than a boon. In the years following the Games, residents expressed frustration. The Washington Post documented locals who claimed the Olympics were the worst thing that could have happened to Lake Placid short of an earthquake, lamenting that instead of boosting tourism and prosperity, the Games disrupted the summer trade and left long-term financial woes. 8. Turin, Italy. This city hosted the 2006 Winter Olympics, and while the event showcased the city's rich cultural history and stunning sports venues, it left Turin burdened with severe economic fallout. The local government invested heavily in the infrastructure needed for the Games, building new stadiums, upgrading transportation systems, and developing various winter sports facilities. Unfortunately, the financial return did not match the enormous cost of hosting, and the city was soon grappling with a substantial deficit. Reports suggest that Turin ended up with around $167 million in debt after the Games. In a desperate bid to alleviate this financial strain, city officials resorted to unconventional strategies, such as selling the rights to host the Paralympics to a private entity, and even launching scratch-and-win lottery tickets to raise funds. Over time, these measures reduced the debt to about $49 million, but the toll on the city's financial health was undeniable. One of the lasting challenges was the struggle to repurpose the Olympic Village. By 2016, according to The Guardian, parts of the Olympic Village had become a haven for over 1,000 refugees and migrants from Libya and Somalia, who were squatting in several buildings that had been left unused and deteriorating. 7. Albertville, France. This city hosted the 1992 Winter Olympics in the picturesque French Alps. The event was meant to catapult the town into global fame, attracting tourists and showcasing the natural beauty of the region. New sports venues were constructed, and the surrounding ski resorts invested heavily, anticipating a surge in tourism that would justify their spending. However, the reality did not meet these lofty expectations, and the financial aftermath was brutal. The cost of organizing the Albertville Olympics resulted in a staggering $67 million deficit. According to reports, ski resorts in the surrounding areas also accumulated massive debts in hopes of capitalizing on the Olympic momentum. For instance, one resort found itself burdened with $40 million in debt. As a result, French taxpayers were left to cover the shortfall, bearing the financial burden long after the Olympic flame had been extinguished. The New York Times highlighted the post-Olympic hangover that gripped Albertville and nearby areas, with many local businesses and resorts struggling to recover from the excessive spending. Despite the international exposure, Albertville faced a long road to economic stability, and the experience left a bitter taste in the mouths of locals who had once been hopeful about the economic benefits the Games would bring. Even today, the legacy of financial strain is a reminder of the heavy costs that come with hosting such a prestigious event. 6. Vancouver, Canada. The 2010 Winter Olympics in Vancouver, Canada, were a breathtaking spectacle that brought athletes from all over the world to compete on a global stage. The city itself was electrified, buzzing with excitement and national pride. Vancouver's infrastructure and tourism received a boost, and the event left some positive legacies, like improved public transport and a heightened global profile. But beneath the glitz and glory lay one of the biggest financial debts ever recorded from hosting an Olympic event. Hosting the Winter Olympics cost Vancouver and British Columbia a staggering amount. Ranker reports that the total debt left behind was an eye-watering $1 billion. This enormous financial strain forced the local government to make difficult decisions, including budget cuts to essential public services like education, healthcare, and arts funding. The following year, Vancouver's residents felt the brunt of these cuts, as crucial community services suffered from reduced budgets. The environmental impact of the 2010 Olympics was also severe. According to CBC, greenhouse gas emissions during the event were 8 times higher than usual, tarnishing Vancouver's reputation as an environmentally conscious city. By 2016, the Games had been listed by Fortune as one of the 7 biggest financial disasters in Olympic history, a sobering reminder of the high stakes involved when hosting such an event. While some infrastructure improvements have had lasting benefits, the overall financial and environmental burden left a lasting mark on the city. 5. Montreal, Canada. The story of the 1976 Summer Olympics in Montreal, Canada, is a classic tale of Olympic overspending gone wrong. The event, which was meant to showcase the city's greatness, ended up saddling Montreal with a financial burden that would haunt it for decades. The Games' budget spiraled out of control, thanks in large part to mounting construction costs and mismanagement. When all was said and done, the city was left with an astonishing $1.5 billion in debt, a sum so massive that it took 30 years to pay off. To make matters worse, then, Mayor Jean Drapeau famously declared that the Olympics can no more lose money than a man can have a baby. This overly confident claim would become a bitter reminder of the disastrous financial consequences that followed. The city had to implement a tobacco tax just to begin chipping away at the colossal debt. As years passed, the Olympic Stadium, often referred to as the Big O, became the Big O, a symbol of financial mismanagement. Even in 2016, 40 years after the event, The Guardian referred to Montreal's situation as a 40-year hangover, noting simmering controversies around municipal corruption that dated back to the Olympics. Despite the eventual repayment of the debt, the people of Montreal were left disillusioned. The financial scars left behind by the 1976 Olympics resulted in a significant loss of trust in the government, and older generations in Canada still remember the strain and embarrassment caused by the debacle. Although the city has since recovered, the Montreal Olympics serve as a cautionary tale of how overambitious plans and a lack of financial oversight can ruin even the grandest dreams. 4. Paris, France. This city is set to host the 2024 Summer Olympics, with the city's rich history and stunning landmarks providing a captivating backdrop for the world's premier sporting event. The Games aim to elevate Paris's global profile further and to embrace a vision of sustainability and innovation, utilizing a mix of new and existing venues. However, the ambitious plans come at a steep cost, with an estimated price tag of $8.2 billion. Despite efforts to minimize environmental impact and maximize the use of existing infrastructure, the financial pressures are undeniable in past Olympic hosts. While organizers promise long-term benefits like improved transportation and modernized urban spaces, skepticism remains over whether these upgrades will justify the expense. Paris faces immense challenges to ensure the Games do not leave a trail of triumph of planning or a cautionary tale of unsustainable ambition. 3. Athens, Greece. The birthplace of the Olympic Games was granted the honor of hosting the 2004 Summer Olympics. It was a highly symbolic and emotional event for Greece, and the city went all out to ensure the Games lived up to their historic significance. However, the preparations were fraught with delays, and in the rush to meet deadlines, the budget ballooned. The cost of hosting the Olympics ended up far exceeding initial estimates, placing a heavy financial burden on the entire country. The aftermath was disastrous. According to Ranker, the 2000 infrastructure improvements drained government resources, adding approximately $11 billion of debt to an already fragile economy. The situation was so dire that the Washington Post reported that the financial strain from the Olympics helped push Greece to the brink of bankruptcy. By 2014, many of the once glorious Olympic venues had fallen into disrepair, abandoned, and left to deteriorate. The Guardian described these sites as modern ruins, a stark reminder of the country's economic hardships. Even as recently as July 2023, The Sun reported that many of these facilities continue to rot away, with maintenance costs estimated to be around $784 million, an expense Greece cannot afford. The legacy of the 2004 Olympics in Athens is a sobering example of how even a country with deep historical ties to the Games can suffer severe consequences. The debt and abandoned structures left in the wake of the Olympics remain an ongoing burden, casting a long shadow over a country that once prided itself on being the cradle of the Olympic spirit. 2. Nagano, Japan. This city hosted the 1998 Winter Olympics, marking a momentous occasion that brought international attention and an influx of visitors to the region. Nestled in the scenic Japanese Alps, Nagano seemed like the perfect location to showcase winter sports. The Olympics spurred significant infrastructure investments, including new sports venues, upgraded transportation systems, and modern amenities meant to benefit the area long-term. However, despite these upgrades, the financial toll of hosting the Games was crushing, and Nagano quickly found itself in economic trouble. The exact cost of hosting the Nagano Olympics remains shrouded in mystery because, astonishingly, some of the financial documents were reportedly burned by the Olympic Committee's Vice Secretary General. Nevertheless, estimates suggest the debt incurred was around $1 billion. The lack of transparency only added to the city's woes, and the aftermath of the Games brought about a severe economic downturn. According to CNN Money, Oxford researchers later calculated that Nagano had exceeded its original budget by 56%, leaving a lasting impact on the region's financial stability. The city struggled to recover from this financial hit, and the economic downturn left a scar that took years to heal. While Nagano's Olympic venues are still in use for local sports and events, the massive debt and lack of financial clarity from the event remain a sore point in Japanese Olympic history. The 1998 Winter Games serve as a reminder of how even a well-loved and culturally significant event can become an economic albatross if not managed carefully. 1. Sochi, Russia. At the top of our list is Sochi, Russia, home to the most expensive Olympic Games ever held. The 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi cost an eye-watering $60 billion, far surpassing any previous Olympic budget. This staggering amount was fueled by extensive used. Furthermore, the environmental impact was severe, with the construction causing lasting damage to the local ecosystem. The 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi stand as a cautionary tale of the dangers of unchecked spending and corruption, demonstrating that even the grandest plans can leave a lasting negative legacy if mismanaged. If you found these stories eye-opening, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights into the fascinating and sometimes challenging world of global events.